All right, so we had a very good week in the markets. Basically, everything was up nicely. The S&P is about a little over 2% away from its all-time high. NASDAQ even less. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about something a little bit different here from Zuby. First things first, if you get value out of the video, please like and subscribe. Check out those links below. Very much appreciate the support. So first things first from Zuby here. You can speak to someone for a few minutes and determine whether they're on the path to success, mediocrity, or failure. It doesn't take long to ascertain someone's mindset and general attitude towards life. Many have quit before even trying. And again, this is something a little different than what I normally start from, but this is a very, very important point for life in general, in that if you talk to successful people, there's a pattern, and unsuccessful people, there's a pattern. The most obvious one is unsuccessful people. There's always an excuse. There's always reasons that they're not succeeding, that they could improve, that they could, at the very least, they maybe like the vast majority of people in life, that they're never going to be super rich, but at the very least, you could be not broke. The vast majority of people are never going to be fitness models, but at the very least, you could be more fit than you are. This is very, very simple. And again, the common theme of successful people at anything is having that positive attitude, having that I'm not going to quit, I'm going to keep pushing mentality. And the same thing goes with investing too. I mean, the main reason that people fail when it comes to investing is that they have, the get rich quick mentality, and they're just not patient, right? I mean, if you go back 200 years and you've invested for at least 15 years, every single time the stock market outperforms bonds and cash, right? And over, I think there's only 1 or 2 10-year periods. So if you simply just put money in, shut up, forget about the noise, forget about the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and just invest, you'll be fine, right? There's a 99% chance of that. If you look at Bitcoin's even better. Bitcoin, there's no 4-year period where Bitcoin is down. So again, the key to investing is it's incredibly simple when it comes to investing. You just be consistent. That is the only thing that you need to be successful. I mean, if you want to be like uber successful, okay, you need to be good at figuring out what the quality stocks are, finding the opportunities, to some degree timing the market. Like if you want to be Warren Buffett, okay, that's what it's going to take. But if you just want to keep up with the market, even maybe outperform the market a little bit, all it takes is you just be consistent and you ignore the noise. That's all it takes. When it comes to fitness, same thing, right? Like the people that are in the best shape, it's kind of funny. They're the people that have been working out the longest. They're the people that have been following a diet the longest. Now, there are some people with extremely good genetics that, basically day one, they look really good. Or there's people that don't even work out that look really good. That's true. But the vast majority of people aren't those insane outliers. Same thing goes with money. It's funny. The people that have a budget that they follow, that have a certain amount of money that's like, hey, I'm making a certain amount of money every month. I'm going to invest a certain amount. I'm going to save a certain amount. I'm going to spend a certain amount. This is how much my mortgage is going to be. This is how much my groceries are going to be. This is how much, free spending money that I can spend on stuff that I don't really need, but I want. That's how you be successful, right? It's really, really complicated. And getting back to his point here, it's not really complicated. It's really simple. Getting back to his point here, you can tell when you talk to people, right? It's just so obvious. The people that are confident but yet humble, those are the people that are successful. There's a lot of people that are confident but they're not humble. And then there's a lot of people that are not confident and not humble. Those are the unsuccessful people, right? The people that think they haven't made, but yet they're broke, right? Like the people that think they understand how everything works, but yet they're flat broke. Like, yeah, no sane person is going to trust you. Right? It's kind of funny that a lot of super successful people, when it comes to money, when it comes to investing, those are the people that still are trying to learn the most. The people that are in the best shape, they're constantly looking for ways to improve. It's kind of funny how that works, right? It goes to show that how much of a student of the game are you willing to be? How much are you willing to learn? Because success is about that fine line between, being confident in that knowing what you know and thinking you have it made, and being a student of the game. You need to have that very fine line, because whenever you learn about, like, economics is a prime example of this. The amount of people that, like, quite literally they could not be more ignorant on economics if they tried, that think they understand how things work. Like, there are people that couldn't even explain the broken window fallacy, which is like one of the most basic concepts in existence, that, again, they think they know what they're talking about. People that can't explain like basic stuff. Like, a prime example of this is what's going on in the States right now. This idea that Trump's talking about is we need to raise taxes on. There's been a couple of different policies I've heard. Number one is raising, the dividend withholding tax. I've heard of them proposing a capital gains withholding tax on foreigners. And this is another example of people that are just ignorant on economics. And again, regardless of what your thoughts on Trump are, I know that there's a lot of people that are on both sides here, but you have to call balls and strikes. You have to call a spade a spade. This is something that he's obviously wrong on, because when it comes to taxes, and this is something that a lot of people get wrong, is that you can really tell if someone understands basic economics, in that if they think that you can just jack up taxes on people regardless of how much money they're making, infinitum or endlessly, that's a telltale sign that they have no idea what they're talking about. Because if you jack up taxes on people, they're just going to either find ways around it, and let's just say that the taxes are excessive. Now, again, one person's definition of excessive is different than another person's, but it's undeniable that if you raise taxes on people, that eventually they're going to come to the point to where they're like, I'm not even going to play the game. So when you take the investing example, well, if Trump raises taxes on foreign investors, eventually they're going to be like, screw it, I'm not going to invest in the States at all. And rather than getting your existing withholding tax from dividends, you're going to get nothing. And this is the same thing goes for income taxes, right? There's people that think that you can have 90% marginal tax rates on, multimillionaires. It's like, they're just going to give you the middle finger at some point, and you're going to get nothing. Right? So are you better off to get 50% of $1 million or 0% of $1 million? Well, the answer is very simple. It's 50%. And when it comes to the investing example, it's okay, would you rather get 15% of whatever, $1 million, or would you rather get 0? And this is a thing that, again, people just don't get it. And again, just think of it in your own scenario, right? If the government said, hey, we're going to take literally everything you have, or let's just say 90%, or you can move across the country, or hell, even move to a different state or province, and you're going to take 20% or 30%, whatever the number is, 10%. Some people will stay, but a lot of people will move. And it's just basic math, right? So just an example I wanted to bring up, because this new tax that Trump is talking about, again, I'm fairly neutral on Trump. There's way too many people that are just way too emotional when it comes to Trump, especially, you look at places outside of America, it's typically people that are just too emotional. They're biased against him, and within America, there's definitely a lot of both. Not like there isn't people that are biased in favor of him out of America and vice versa. But again, way too many people, they're just way too emotional, right? The reality when it comes to this situation is it's not a good policy. Same goes for the tariffs, right? Same goes for the tariffs. Tariffs, they don't work, right? Now again, you could argue, very small amounts on certain industries. Okay, maybe I can understand that, but massive sweeping tariffs do not work, right? So just another example of that. So shifting to another topic here, Metaplanet announces accelerated 2025 to 2027 Bitcoin plan, targeting 210,000 Bitcoin by 2027. So this is obviously good news in that, again, there is a gold rush going on right now. There is an arms race going on right now. The companies that will acquire the most Bitcoin are going to be the most valuable companies in the world one day, because eventually it's going to get to the point to where Bitcoin will be by far the most pristine collateral in existence. Like, by far. It's way better than any other form, right? Because it is more portable. There is no trading window. Like, again, a lot of people say, what about real estate? What about cash? What about stocks, right? You compare it to stocks. Well, can you let's just say you get margin called on a Sunday afternoon. You can't sell your stocks till Monday, You can sell your Bitcoin though. Real estate, you can't sell. I mean, real estate might take months to sell. Sometimes it even takes years. So, obviously, T-bills and cash, that's a little bit different, but, T-bills and cash are getting absolutely destroyed by inflation, especially cash. So eventually people are going to catch on to the idea that the fact that Bitcoin is the best form of collateral in existence, and it's really not even close. And again, congrats on Metaplanet. They're doing extremely well. I think these Bitcoin treasury companies are going to absolutely destroy the market over the long term. They already have, but I think that's just going to continue. Connor Boyack, Bitcoin isn't valuable because it's scarce. It's valuable because its scarcity is credible, verifiable, unchangeable, regardless of its price or popularity. And this is something that I don't remember who it was recently, but they said, oh, well, my teeth are scarce and they're not worth, $100,000 or whatever. And it's like, you're completely missing the point, right? You're completely missing the point, right? I mean, number one, someone could just make fake teeth and it would be very hard to tell if they're real or not. And this is one of the reasons that Bitcoin is better than gold, is because if someone decides like, hey, I'm gonna buy a car or a house with gold, how do I know that it's real gold? Like, without getting it verified, I really don't. And number one, that's a timely process, and number two, it's going to cost a lot more than it's going to cost to transact on the Bitcoin base layer. So this is the really good example, is that you can always tell when someone is either ignorant to the point of insanity, or they're just lying to you, or they're just manipulating you, if they compare the strengths of one asset to the weaknesses of another. Or even when it comes to politics, when it comes to anything, right? This is just classic, people that are just bad people. And that's, I think, a nice way of putting it, is that they compare the strengths of something to the weaknesses of something else. And this is what the people that don't like Bitcoin always do. They always do. It's always the strengths of stocks versus the weaknesses of Bitcoin, the strengths of real estate versus the weaknesses of Bitcoin. It's funny, like I always bring up, it's like they'll never accept, well, Bitcoin is a better investment than real estate because I can sell my Bitcoin whenever I want. It'll take you months to sell your real estate, or weeks at the very least. Bitcoin's a better investment compared to stocks because they would never also agree that stocks are a better, or Bitcoin. They would never say real estate is a bad investment because you can't sell your real estate tomorrow on your stock brokerage account, right? Like, just another example of that. The whole point is that they're using the weaknesses of Bitcoin and they're comparing it to the strengths of something else. Whenever people do that, they are lying to you, or they are just incredibly ignorant. Either way, they should be dismissed or they should be called out. So that's something that's important, right? This idea that my teeth are scarce and they're not worth anything. Well, okay, that's just a straw man argument. That's really just a straw man argument, right? Bitcoin is the most scarce asset in existence. It's easily verifiable, and it's unchangeable regardless of its price, right? If the price of gold went up to $10,000 tomorrow, you better believe that this new supply of gold will grow at an accelerated rate. Now, maybe not 100 years from now, but at the very least over the next year or two, it for sure would. If the price of Bitcoin went to $500,000 tomorrow, the amount of new Bitcoin is not going to change. And it's the only asset in existence, at least that has any significance, that has that quality. So very, very important, right? Very, very important. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the stock market. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, stocks had a good week. The S&P was up about 1.5%. The NASDAQ was up 2%. Small caps actually did well this week. Mid caps are about the same as the S&P. Equal weight trailed a little bit. So this was a week when growth underperformed. And the big news from this past week was the S&P closed almost exactly at 6,000, which it has not been above since, I think, back in February. So maybe it was March. Which is obviously very important, right? Because if you look at the stock market, right, I mean, it hit its high back on February 19th, and we are about 2.25% below that all-time high, right? So the market could easily move that much in a day or two, for sure a week. So the big question is the stock market going to reach a new all-time high? Without more good news, my prediction is no, right? My prediction is no, but for all we know, Trump backs off on the tariffs and the Fed cuts the next meeting and we're off to the races. We could hit, 6,500, 7,000 by the end of the year. Who knows? But I mean, we've recovered very nicely, from the highs. We're up a little over 20%. The Nasdaq's actually up about 27%. So my prediction, do we reach a new all-time high in the next week or two? I would say it's less likely than likely. I'd say less than a 50% chance. I say maybe like a 30% chance. But the problem with trying to predict the market over the short term is it's so unpredictable, because the stock market's unpredictable in the first place. But with Trump being the president, it's even more unpredictable, because a tweet or a Truth Social could move the markets, 5% in, a day or two, either way, right? For all we know, he's like, yep, 100% tariffs on China, 100% tariffs on the EU, and the market's down 10% in a week. That would not be shocking. But also, we could get, good economic news, and Trump lays off on the tariffs, and that would be very good news. So it's very hard to predict. Personally, I still think we haven't seen enough good news to justify the market hitting a new all-time high, but I could be wrong. I certainly could be wrong. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. If you liked the video, you got value, like I say, please check out those links below. Hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.